Sisko was probably the most badass captain ever. I was like, okay, what has Kirk done? He got fucked a lot. Sisko didn't get fucked a lot. And it wasn't for lack of trying, okay? It was actually the fact that he actually had other things going on. He could have gotten laid non-stop. I mean, he was the emissary. He could have pointed at any Bajoran chick in the station and been like, hey, my place. Let's go.
Yeah, but, yeah, that's why I'd have to go with Picard, though, because, I mean, he seemed more...
Well, up until Deep Space Nine, I would have agreed with you, because, you know what? Kirk fought Klingons. You know, he fought, and he got into a couple of fist fights and some scraps and some sparring matches back and forth, but Picard, having to deal with Worf on the crew, he wound up being involved in so many things in the Klingon Empire. He's one of the few people that can just slam his hands down and yell a word and have a bunch of Klingons go,
yeah.
It's cool.
Well, remember when he was being tortured by the Romulans that one time? Like, the light. Like, there are...
Oh, the Cardassian guy?
Yeah.
There are 4 lights! That's not funny, but it is.
I mean, psychologically, you didn't even see it until the movie with the Borg, but, what Tola took on him, you know, becoming Locutus and realizing after it was all over he was responsible for millions of deaths.
Well, except for that one time in that first episode of DS9. Because I guess everyone else kind of just decided to be like, okay, he was taken over by the Borg. Let's not give him any shit over it. And then here comes Sisko, and he's like, yeah, we met at Wolf 359 when you were a Borg and you killed everybody. And he's like, oh, like, okay, I did that, but come on, man. That's not cool.
Like, hey, that's not fair. When you were taken over by the Borg and killing people, I didn't say anything. It's like,
I'll tell you what, why don't we get you assimilated, and then you can kill some people, and then I can rub it in your face, asshole.
Yeah. So, yeah, been through a lot of shit. He still managed to, like, you know, to pull through.
Yeah. Good, strong captains.
Yeah.
I would like to have seen a crossover of some kind, you know, Sisko and Picard working together. Because, you know, yeah, okay, so you're across the delegation table, there's a Klingon there. You know, Klingons start yelling at each other. Picard smacks his hands down and yells a word, and the Klingons go, okay. Sisko looks at Worf, nods, walks over, and they each punch a Klingon, and it's like, would you two knock it the hell off?
It'd be like a good cop, bad cop comedy movie. Picard and Sisko have to take a road trip on the Enterprise.
Like Lethal Weapon in space.
They're given to the Defiant, and they have, like, a road trip where they have to escort, like, this, like, cracked out Ferengi, through a zany adventure through the wormhole.
What about favorite aliens?
Favorite aliens...
Like species, not like not an individual character.
Yeah. It would have to be a toss-up between two species, which actually kind of... between each other. What was the name of the only CGI race on there, remember, from Voyager?
Species 8472.
Yeah, they were, like, awesome. They're like, they came from another dimension that the Borg accidentally punched a hole in while they were trying to figure out how to...
that wasn't an accident. They did it on purpose. They just didn't realize what they were walking into.
Yeah. They tried to assimilate the species. The species couldn't be assimilated, but they're more pissed off than the Klingons. And they have less manners.
So they just roll through this portal like, oh, you want to take over our universe? Like, oh, shit.
Yeah, they're from, like, a liquid universe. But,
it's like the first time you see them, the Borg are running away from them, and Voyager's like, where are they running from? And like, oh, shit.
Well, the first thing you see of them...
is a Borg ship. It's like,
with
you will
bodies.
be assimilated, and then just boom.
Yeah, and then the Voyager comes across, like, the destroyed ship with, like, piles of, like, Borg bodies. Just, like, all, like...
Like, huh. Well, you know, if we could become friends with these people... And no, you don't become friends with this species.
No, nothing becomes friends with that species. But the second of my favorite species is actually the Borg. Because I just think that's kind of neat, the whole collective. I mean, they were like the...
It's because it's a technicality. Because the Borg is really not so much a species...
Well, they become a species. It's like the technology makes them...
The technology is still just technology. There's Klingon Borgs, Romulan Borgs, Cardassian Borgs, Ferengi Borgs.
Yeah, but it's like... Yeah, but they traveled through Borg space. If you
Well,
if you see a ship,
more like an
it's a
empire
Borg.
than
Yeah.
a species. But I'll give it to you because as far as that kind of stuff goes, I mean, it still kind of counts.
Yeah,
But they're definitely more like an empire than a species.
Actually, leave your comments too down below what you think about the Borg in this case.
Because like I'm saying, to be a species, like the Romulans are a species, the Vulcans are a species, the Ferengi, they're all genetically, like humans. Humans are a species. Now, if I took my cat and put Borg technology in him, he'd still be a cat. A human is still a human, even if it's a Borg. But the Borg is more like an empire than a species. But I'll totally give it to you because, it's Star Trek. They're the Borg.
Yeah.
When you hear the name Borg, you either run screaming or you nut up and fight.
Yeah.
And then die anyway.
Exactly, which is I think probably why they're one of my favorites of all time, because they were the boogeyman of the Next Generation for what was it, 2 seasons?
Yeah.
Ever since Q threw the Enterprise into that piece of space to teach them a lesson that they're not ready.
And
which is what
it's scary enough on its own if you really think about it, because you got the Enterprise, which Q kind of just snapped his fingers and whipped them further into space than anyone's ever been, ever. Any human, anyway.
Yeah, at that point,
so,
yeah.
I mean, they're talking Voyager territory, all the way out in the Gamma Quadrant.
Yeah,
Boom.
They threw them in the middle of Borg space, Q did.
And, they run into the Borg, and they're like, okay, no big deal. And then shit hits the fan, they're losing people, the fight's going on. I think the Borg actually just cut a fucking piece out of the
that's
ship.
the first thing it did. They just
zip.
pop.
Just coring a fucking apple.
Yeah.
And it was like, dude, that's not cool. So they run away, and they're like, well, don't worry about it. They're so far away from us, it won't even be a problem.
Yeah,
a year and a half later, what do you mean they're here already?
Yeah, and it was really ominous too, because it was they were investigating how these colonies are just gone, just big holes in the planet where the colonies used to be. In the further reaches of the...
And then all of a sudden they're like, oh shit, they're here.
Yeah, move fucking fast.
Right. I actually like the Trill.
Oh, really?
I thought the Trill were an interesting race, because, you've got this thing, and you see it a couple of times throughout the show, like when Dax first shows up on Deep Space Nine, she just got the symbiote not too long ago, so she's still kind of settling into it. By the time she dies, and she's married to Worf, she is strong and independent, and most of it is because she's got the memories of all these different people rattling around in her head. Now, I'd really like to know what gave the Trill the idea to open their stomachs up and shove a worm in there.
Yeah.
I don't know how that could have come about, but the first time we see the Trill is on Next Generation, and they look totally different. And it was the way the whole worm thing worked was almost like a kangaroo pouch. And I don't remember if it was like that in Deep Space Nine, because they only show the procedure once. Yeah. But there was that episode where they had that one insecure kind of sciencey guy, John Glover played him, and he got the symbiote, and all of a sudden he was a completely different person. So it's if you could be you, but then somebody says, well, here's this little parasite thing. It's not going to hurt you. But if I put this in your stomach, you carry it around, it's going to not only record your memories into itself and save you like a copy, but it's also going to give you access to all the memories and thoughts of everyone who had it before you did. That's a pretty badass deal.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an entire, life cycle of learning. She had 300 years of experience in various fields. Everything from flight to fucking batleth fighting.
Yeah.
Because Curzon was a serious Klingon pimp.
Yeah, and you figure she herself was probably maybe 20...
28.
Yeah, she was 28.
As I recall.
Yeah.
Because I was just reading about it online not too long ago. I get bored
yeah.
between calls and I start reading Wikipedia articles. And
yeah.
But yeah, that's actually a pretty cool race, and then she dies, and then you get the most unlikely character ever, poor little Ezri Dax. She wasn't even supposed to actually get the symbiote, but she was the only Trill on the ship. And the symbiote's health was failing because it had been away from Jadzia too long. So they're like, look, if we don't get this thing into a Trill, it's going to die. You up for it? And she's like, YOLO? Or 7? So all of a sudden, she's got 8 lifetimes of memories in her. Which made things awkward again for poor Worf.
Yeah.
Because, Yeah, his wife was dead, but kind of not, because part of her was still alive in the symbiont. And then there was the whole thing where he was fighting with Dr. Bashir, because Bashir liked Ezri, and Worf was all like, but she's still kind of my wife, and it's not really her, and you're dishonoring memories and stuff. And Stovacor, the honored dead. Favorite movie? Wrath of Khan?
Khan!
Okay, look, not for nothing, I'm not... Okay, that was a good moment. But overall, if you look at all the Star Trek movies, I really think Wrath of Khan was not only, at the time, the best sucker punch ever. Because it's not like today, where if I was going to make a Next Generation movie where, can't think of too many recurring villains that aren't dead on that show. But let's just say I was going to bring back somebody from the show, you know.
Yeah.
Someone that gave Picard a hard time, I don't know. Whatever. I'll think of something later. But if I were going to do that today, I couldn't get away with keeping it a secret.
Yeah, that's true.
Because the moment they find out that I've cast so-and-so in my movie, they're going to be like, hey, he was that guy in that movie, and in that TV show episode.
Unless you really fuck everyone over and cast Tony Todd.
Oh my god.
It's like I'm casting him as
Kern.
I'm casting him as a Klingon.
Like, oh, like, Jesus. Okay, well that narrows it down to 4. You can't get away with the Wrath of Khan sucker punch anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, back in the day, nobody had the internet to know that Ricardo Montalban was being cast. Nobody knew that, you know, they were going to do a movie. All they knew was there was a new Star Trek coming out. And even if the title was Wrath of Khan, every nerd in the planet just went like, Khan? Wait, what? He's coming back? And it's like, oh shit, I'm coming back.
Yeah. If they even let loose the sub-name on it yet at that point, you know?
Yeah, well, they would have had posters up, you know, at least a few weeks before the movie came out.
Yeah.
It would be Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Everybody walks by and they're just like, what?
Yeah. You know, my favorite, and this is what I'm basing this on, is just the sheer silliness of the movie. Okay?
Okay.
So you're not going to get a Next Generation movie, and or one of the reboot movies. Mm-hmm. What was it, part 2 or part 3 where they met God?
Oh, that was 5.
Or part 5? Wow, it was that far up the chain?
Yeah, because the first one was that really long, glorified shot of the ship. And the bald chick who could apparently fuck people to death.
Yeah.
I never quite understood that until I went back and looked up the Deltans. But apparently they are so aggressively, overly sexual that they have to have an oath of celibacy before they join this federation, just to make sure they don't fuck anyone to death.
Damn.
Yeah. Sign me up. Then there was 2, Wrath of Khan, which is where you really get like the first good quality Star Trek movie. You know, the story wasn't overdone. It was interesting enough. There was intrigue. And they had all the characters that you know and love in uniforms that didn't look fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Star Trek 3 was Search for Spock. You know, he dies at the end of Khan, comes back in 3. 4 was when they went back
in time to save the whales from
the
thing that was siphoning the oceans of Earth.
And then 5 was Spock's crazy Vulcan brother and his God complex. And what does God want with a starship?
Yeah.
And then 6 was the Klingon peace thing.
Yeah, the new world, the
undiscovered country.
Yeah, there you go. So,
Shakespeare, yo.
Yeah. But yeah, that was just the pure ridiculousness of them, like, going and, like, you know...
Yeah, there was some funny stuff in that movie, like the 3-breasted Catwoman that James Kirk winds up wrestling. Come on, Shatner. You know you did it on purpose, just admit it.
You made the movie with that in mind, and you killed your wife and got away with it.
Dude. That's harsh.
I'm just saying, there's 2 things.
And then Nichelle Nichols doing that sexy fan dance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You know I'd go for that.
Yeah, well, you know.
And you know she likes men with beards.
She
saw
was
her on that episode of Comic Book Men where she was buying the Uhura Migo figure. Like, they went everywhere in New Jersey to find her one. And then when she came back, he was like, well, it's $200. And she's like, what? For my own figure? And, because Walt's a dick. And then Brian Johnson, the big fat guy with the beard, was like, you know what? I'll buy it for her. And then she gave him a kiss, and then she came back for another one, you know, like a second later. I was like, damn. All right.
So,
she likes big, burly, beardy guys.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro.
Well, that's okay. She's like 90.
And?
Even when she was doing the fan dance, she was like, what, in her 60s?
And? Sexy is sexy. Don't get me started.
Yeah, so that was my favorite just because it was just off the wall, like just stupid, you know.
It was kind of ridiculous.
It's like the essence of the original Star Trek show. It's like
you know what was the summation of that entire movie?
What?
Scotty's pratfall.
Oh.
When he helps him escape from jail, and he's like, okay, go this way and then that way. I gotta go do thing over here. And then he's like, okay, good, Mr. Scott. He's like, I know the ship like the back of my hand. And he turns around and walks into a pipe. I was like, really? Three Stooges? Three Stooges in a Star Trek movie. Wow.
Well, it just takes me back to the days of the original Star Trek where they're like, Captain, there's something in front of us. And it's Abraham Lincoln on a fucking chair floating in front of the Enterprise.
Like, God damn it, Space Lincoln. Why are you here? But yeah, Wrath of Khan was definitely my favorite. Because it was actually probably the single best Star Trek movie. I mean, I liked other ones. Nemesis was pretty cool. The concept was a little... but the execution was like pretty on point. And, you know, it shows the progression of the characters. And Generations was okay, but it could have been better as a passing the torch kind of movie.
Yeah, which it never quite worked out, because, I mean...
Yeah, half the original crew didn't want to show up. I was like, whatever.
Yeah, if anything, that was kind of saying farewell to both franchises, The Next Generation and the original Star Trek.
But there was one thing about that was kind of ironic.
Oh?
They offered the original cast a chance to show up and be in Generations and, do a goodbye. And everyone else was like, yeah, we said goodbye with that other movie. But then all of a sudden you got Spock. Dude shows up on a couple episodes of Next Generation. He's all over the new Abrams movies. You know, it's like, I thought you said goodbye. All right, never mind. That's cool.
You said goodbye to William Shatner is who you said goodbye to. It's like, is Shatner going to be in this? No.
Like, okay, well, good. Now I'll be in it. All right, favorite piece of future tech to wrap it up. This one's pretty much a no-brainer for me. I got to go with the holodeck. I mean, because, when I first saw the show, my first thought was, oh my god, can you imagine what we could do with the holodeck, man? There could be, like, girls there all the time. We could just do whatever we wanted, and it'd be awesome. Now I think of more obscure things. Like, I would really love to see a concert where MC Chris and ICP are on the same stage at the same time, doing, like, a rap battle remix of some of their best songs, like, back and forth at each other. You know?
Yeah.
Actually recreating Woodstock. Seeing all those different bands perform. I was like, you could pick, you could actually go see Gwar with the original lineup.
Yeah, that's true.
He's like, hey, I feel like watching that today. Or like, hey, I want to watch a movie, but I don't just want to watch a movie, I want to be in the movie. And then all of a sudden you're in the movie.
Yeah.
Entertainment becomes completely interactive. I mean, you know how easy it would be for me to get exercise if I had a holodeck? I mean, going to the gym is kind of boring. Stop talking about the gym. God, every fucking episode you bring it up. But anyway, you remember Worf's holodeck program that he used to use?
Oh yeah, with those like alien monsters.
He had fucking Skeletor. He was beating the shit out of him every day with that hook-handed beak thing with the spikes on. I was like, how do you use that weapon?
It's a Klingon thing.
Special Olympics death match.
Yeah. Huge technology, the bet laugh.
Yeah.
But
I was like, if I had a holodeck right now, I wouldn't even need my apartment. I would just be like, okay, computer, generate a 2-bedroom apartment.
You
Put
could have
furniture
something...
here, and here, decorations there, and there. I could have impossible things decorating my apartment.
You could have something the size of, like, say, a telephone booth that was a holodeck inside.
Maybe a blue one.
Exactly.
Light on top.
I don't know. You know what I think would be neat? Would be replicators. Replicators...
That was my second answer.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't really decide between replicators and teleporters. Because, I mean, both are so useful.
Yeah. I mean, with a replicator, you would... Oh, if we take power consumption out of it, because apparently the replicators and stuff consume a lot of energy. But, yeah, if we take that out of it and you just look at the technology itself, something as big as a microwave that you can just be like, vegetable soup. Poof.
It's like, I feel like a Whopper.
Exactly. But people always say on the show that replicated food tastes different. I don't know if that's actually true or if that's just some kind of snobbish, stupid thing. Because everyone who's ever said it has been kind of a dick. Like, there was the one guy, the one Maquis leader who came back to help somebody. He was like, I never realized how good food can taste until I actually ate real food that was grown from the ground and cooked and prepared, not that replicated protein crap. And I'm like...
Yeah. You get that same shit from health nuts, though, that are like, I didn't realize how good food was till I had organic, this, versus these tomatoes. Like, yeah, it's all the same shit. Sorry, folks.
But, that's what, like, right now, I could be like, I feel like a cheesesteak and a surge. And then all of a sudden, and then you take the dishes back, put them back in there. I guess you push another button.
Yeah. You could do the same thing and start taking away with a teleporter, except that'd be kind of a dick move.
Like, I want a cheesesteak and a surge. All of a sudden, some guy in California's like, hey, where's my fucking soda? And some dude in Philadelphia's like, where's my cheesesteak? Like,
and then the plate drops in front of them, like empty.
An empty surge can falls back down in California, and an empty plate with some cheesesteak grease left on it is like, yay! It's not a replicator, but it works.
Yeah. But just imagine, with the teleporter.
Yeah.
You could go anywhere. I mean, I know there's, a certain range on them, but as far as I can tell, it's planetary. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we're not going to be able to teleport to Mars, but we might be able to get to the moon.
Yeah. But just imagine, okay, what's the weather like today? Oh, it's going to suck here. Let's go to a beach in France.
Yeah. Like, you know what sounds nice? Brazil.
Yeah. It's like, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm nowhere near tired. I feel like going out and doing something. Let's go to somewhere in the country that is 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
But you can do the same thing on a holodeck. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's where the question comes in, was like, do you care about real life or not? Because with a teleporter, I could go visit my folks on the other side of the country anytime I wanted. I could talk to someone online who's in Japan and be like, hey, you want to hang out? And just show up in Japan.
Yeah.
But if I had a holodeck, hey, I'm sick of the weather. Computer. Nude beach in Brazil. Not only that, I don't have to worry about STDs, unwanted pregnancies. I'm just like, I'm going to fuck on the beach for the rest of the day while it's miserable outside. Who wants to join me? You can have your own section of the beach over there. Stay behind your little hollow wall.
Scientists are actually working on teleportation technology. They can teleport, something like a little larger than an atom at this point. But it has to start somewhere.
Yeah, I know, but it's not going to be done in time.
Yeah, but the thing about that though is more if they don't know if people would actually want to be teleported or not. Because with the technology that they're doing, they teleported something like 200 miles or something like that now. But it basically destroys the original atom and creates a carbon copy of it that's in every way, shape, or form the same atom somewhere else. So it's not really a
teleporter as much as it is a duplicator.
Kind of. I
don't know if that really worked for humans, though.
Well, see, that's where the logistics comes in. Because, let's say there's a teleporter that could teleport people that worked in the same principle. I step into that teleporter, I die.
You get disintegrated.
I get disintegrated. I appear wherever the other part of the teleporter is, thinking I'm me. I'm made of pretty much completely new atoms, more or less.
That's the thing. Your memory is more than just atoms, though. It's electrical impulses that exist in tissue. So, who's to say the first person who doesn't get teleported doesn't just wind up a blank slate copy on the other end of the machine?
True.
That would be kind of weird.
Yeah. Or let's say it malfunctions, and there ends up being 2 of you. You're still there, but you're on the other...
So I pull out my cell phone, hey, get back here. We got things to do.
So, it kind of makes you wonder, teleportation, it's like, if you were still you, as far as, you're on the other end, and as far as that you on the other end is concerned, you were here a second ago, and now you're over there. Yay, I'm teleported, when in actuality...
You were destroyed, and they just made another one.
Yeah, you were destroyed and then rebuilt, but the rebuilt you still technically isn't you.
Yeah.
It's just somebody who looks like you with all of your memories, all of your scars, all of everything. if you had sore muscles when you went in, you'll have sore muscles when you got out. If you're like working out or whatever, you know.
Because the muscle fatigue would travel with you.
Exactly. Like all of the data carries over. Basically, it'd be like putting something in a USB drive and putting it on a different device.
I don't know. I can see that being kind of cool, but I'd rather do it, a bit more Star Trek-y. Just literally, I was there, I'm now here.
Yeah, and not like that one Star Trek movie where the teleporter failed.
Yeah, poor Mr. Not Spock. That was another one from the first movie. It was like, oh yeah, a Vulcan who we can have as a science officer because Kirk now feels he needs a Vulcan there, but a full Vulcan this time. This is probably why it wouldn't have worked out.
Yep. So, I think it's about time to wrap that up.
I think we're pretty much out of stuff at this point.
The one thing I'd like to mention is, yes, I'm going to acknowledge that show Enterprise that was on for like 1 or 2 seasons. That's as much as I'm going to acknowledge it.
Never heard of
it. He's heard of it.
I know what you're talking about.
Scott Bakula.
Quantum Leap?
No, he's the captain of the Enterprise.
Babylon 5?
No,
that's not Star Trek.
No, not that show. It had the chick that was the Vulcan.
That was that one with Kevin Sorbo, the kind of Gene Roddenberry, but not Star Trek show.
No, not that show. No, it was Enterprise. It was like the first ship that was boring and like introducing you to all the species that you've already known for like 20 years.
Never heard of it.
Or longer. It had the Vulcan chick who went into heat because the ratings were dropping. And,
I got nothing.
You know what I'm talking about.
Got nothing. I didn't know what you were talking about.
You know what I'm talking about.
I don't know. Because I refuse to believe this is a Star Trek show I haven't seen. I would have seen it on Netflix. It's not on Netflix. I would have seen DVDs available for sale. I would have noticed that it was on when it was happening. But no, this never happened. There was never another Star Trek show after Voyager.
Look up Enterprise.
The Enterprise, yeah, the Enterprise from the original series, and then there was the one from the
Enterprise.
You didn't get to see for like 5 minutes that kind of looked like the Excelsior. And then there was the C that you saw for another 5 minutes, and then D was the Next Generation ship, and the E was the one from the movies after Riker was left in charge and crashed the fucking ship. Way to go, Will!
Worst captain ever.
Fucking A.
Anyway,
hate to see what he did with the Titan.
Anyway, thanks for watching another episode on Real Talk. Join the chat down below.
Yeah, comment if you have any idea what this crazy person's talking about.
Yeah.
He's confused about Quantum Leap. I don't know.
Or your favorite Star Trek show, characters, anything at all. Let us know. Join the conversation.
And no, we're not going to talk about the animated series, because...
no, we're not going to talk.
It wasn't a bad idea, it was just like, why? Huh? Never mind. Anyway, yeah. It's on Netflix, go check it out.
Adios. Probably maybe between Data and Odo as far as my 2 favorite characters. I mean, they're kind of like fishes out of water, really. I mean, eventually Odo found out...